Alright guys, so we need to implement a shopping cart in our application. So we're going to use this package here for rapid development. So go ahead and search for Laravel shopping carts, and when you get to the GitHub repository, we're just going to follow the installations instructions to install it. So right here on my terminal, I'm going to require that package in, and while it's requiring in, I'm going to add this service provider to my app.php. So I'll head over to my app.php and right down to the providers array, I'm gonna add this package right here, and not forgetting the trailing comma. And next thing, we need to register a facade. Okay, it's just gonna make life easier. So right down at the bottom, I'll register that facade for my carts. So now that that's done, and hopefully the installation is done. Okay, it's still installing, but as soon as that's done, we'll be able to do stuff like add an item to the carts, and we can be able to actually add multiple items to our cart and find items and do stuff like that. Okay, so as soon as our package is ready to go, we're gonna begin. Now, for us to actually use this in application, let's just go ahead and create a shops controller, so that a controller that's gonna be able to be in charge of our shop. So give that a second right there. Okay, that's done. So let's go ahead and create a shops controller. PHP artisan make controller, and let's just call it shopping controller. It's gonna be in charge of our carts and all of that. Okay, so this is our shopping controller. Okay, so now that we have our package and our controller ready, what we're gonna do is actually make this form work right here. Okay, so on our products details page, so the single.blade.php, right here where it says add to cart, we're gonna just have a form. So I'll cut all of this out and I'll create a form, and this is gonna submit to a route, and we're just gonna call this cart.add right here. Okay, and this is gonna be by method equals post, at least in this case. So right here we're gonna say, obviously we want the CSRF field, and I'll just paste in that data, and hopefully this didn't disrupt the design. Okay, so the cart.add not defined, but everything looks great. So what we're gonna do is give a name to this input right here, and this is gonna be quantity, and that's all. So this is gonna submit the form, meaning it should be a button right there, and we're gonna replace this with button. Okay, so let's create that. In our web.php, we need that route, right? So let's just create the route right here. So we'll say route, and it's gonna be a get, and this is gonna be /cart/add, and this is gonna receive an array, and it's gonna be uses the shopping controller the add to cart method, and we'll just use it as cart.add, right? And obviously we have to say this is a post request, not a get. Okay, so now in our single.blade.php, this form is going to be submitted to this route right here. So let me refresh that, and everything looks as usual. So if we submit that form, or if we increment it, submit the form, method doesn't exist. So let's create that method. So right here we're going to have a public function add to cart method, and let's just die dump the request right here, and we'll get all the data. Okay, so right here, if I refresh and submit again, we have the quantity is 5. If we increment this, add to cart, we have 10 as a quantity. So how are we going to be adding to our cart? We're going to use the cart facade that we registered in our app.php with the package we installed, and right here we need to add that product to cart, right? So meaning in our single.blade.php, we need to actually know the ID of the product so we can add it to cart. So what we can do in this font, we can have a hidden input field right here, and this is gonna be of type equals hidden, and of name equals product ID, and value is gonna be equals to, we'll echo out the product ID right here. So we'll say product, and we'll say ID. So let's go ahead to our shopping cart, and if I go back, I refresh the form, I say I want to, I submit, you see we have the product ID right there. So let's go ahead and add that item to cart. So we'll just use cart add, and we'll pass in an array. First thing, the ID of the product, And since we're going to be using that product many times, let's just go ahead and find it. So we'll say product find by ID, and we'll pass in the request product ID. So right here it's product ID. So we'll say request product ID. Then as soon as we find the product, right here we'll be able to say the ID should be product ID, the name should be product name, the quantity should be product, or not product quantity, but request quantity like we have here. So request quantity, and the price should obviously be product price. Okay, so we've added to our cart. So let's just get the cart, what it returns, and we're just gonna diagram cart right there. Okay, so I'm just gonna say GG cart right there. So after we've added, we just diagram the return value. So let's refresh and submit. Class app product not found, that's my fault. So we'll say use app product. So if I refresh again, submit, right there we have our cart item returned to us. And this cart item is the item that was actually stored. So raw ID is this, quantity is this, name is this, and this is the price. Okay, so we are able to add to our cart right here. Okay, and what we can also do, since we've added an element to our cart, using the cart facade, we can actually get the contents of the cart right here. So if I refresh, you can see that we have a collection, and this contains the cart items. So right here we have the contents of our cart, and we have the quantity to ID of 34 that we just added. So looks like we can add successfully to our cart using the package we installed. So just to recap of what is happening, in our single.blade.php, we set up a form, and this form is going to submit the quantity that we want to add to our cart, and it's also going to submit with the product ID right there. So we know the products that we want to add to cart, we know the quantity, so we just submit the form. And in our shoppings controller, we receive that form data, and we find the post concerned. We use our cart to add to our cart, and we diagram the content, and that is the content we see right here. So thank you so much, and see you in the next video when we're going to be doing more.